prime time on the top game, it's a fine line. Man in the match, that's Daveye, he's the main guy, keep a close eye. Make sure you don't make no wrong play, cause I'm with Jose and Andre. And when Cyrus comes to walk in, you better know that you are watching Premier League. Daveye, tell what time we on, prime time. Let me hear you say Premier League. Daveye, tell what time we on, prime time.
Hello and welcome to Premier League Primetime, and I am here with a very, very special guest, the one and only Cecil from AFTV. My bro, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm very well. I'm it's a privilege to be here. So big up for having me on Premier League Primetime. I'm proud to be on here. It's nice. Obviously, we've met and spoken before in the past, but we've been trying to arrange this for a while. I'm glad we'll be able to get it in. I've got to say that intro is a good vibe. That's a tune. That's your tune. I was vibing off camera. I like that. That's a good one. But no, I'm in a good mood, man. Things are well. Of
course, for those who somehow don't know Cecil, if for whatever reason you've been living under rock, he is one of the main faces of Arsenal Fan TV, and he's one of the best. He's one of the very, very, very best. And
thank you. That's very kind.
We're buzzing to have him. We're buzzing to have him here, and of course, why would we have Cecil on here? To talk about the one and only Arsenal. Arsenal, looking at their preseason, looking at the last 2 seasons, competing for the league title, not quite getting there at the end of the day, but looking up and ahead to the upcoming season. For you, what are your expectations going into the new season?
It's a good question. I think my expectations, funny enough, the past 2 seasons, I was filming today and I'll mention this. I said the past 2 seasons, I've actually said City will win it. As much as people have seen the Christmas t-shirt and me being a bit, optimistic as I am as a fan, I actually always said City would win it if you on the tapes and on all the recordings we've done. But this season, I generally believe that Arsenal will win the league this season. So I don't know what it is. I don't know why. I know it's down to hope and expectations. Normally what kills you most of the time, but I just think this has to be the year. I don't see Man City doing it for 5 years in a row. I think that's crazy. If they do a 5-peat, that's unbelievable. Granted, Pep's still here at City, so it's going to be difficult. But I think we were so close last season. I think we'll have the edge on doing it this season. So my expectations is a trophy for Arsenal. I think many of the fans I speak with, a lot of the Arsenal fans we talk with, they expect a trophy. If not, there'll be questions asked to Mikel Arteta. But he's done so much for the club. We've taken us so far forward that I think it's only right. The natural progression is that we see us lift the trophy, whatever trophy that is. I know a lot of people will say they want the majors, whether it's the Champions League or the Premier League. For me, I just want to see silverware. I think the team deserve it. And I think there's not really an excuse, regardless of what happens in the window. This is the next step in Arsenal's progression.
No, definitely. And I think you're spot on about Mikel Arteta as well. I mean, we all seen where Arsenal were when he first came in and where he is and where they are now. And, huge credit to him also with, a substantial amount of spending as well and backing of the manager. If he somehow ends the season without a trophy, would him being sacked be something that would cross your mind, or still would you be behind Mikel Arteta for another season?
With these questions, it's always context. I think if it's a tough one, if we miss out by 1 point or it's goal difference or something like that, and then we go deep into competitions like the Champions League, the FA Cup, if we get to finals and whatnot, I think it is down to context. Don't get me wrong, if we don't win a trophy next season, I'm definitely going to be thinking, when he said, would you think about him sacking him? There's definitely going to be thoughts crossing my mind. I think a lot of the fan base will be questioning him as well. So there'll be conversations of it. I know that'll be the main talking topic, and probably very loud if we didn't end up with any silverware. For me, I am enjoying Arsenal Football Club, whether we haven't won anything in the past 2 seasons. I really have enjoyed the change in the club, going to games, being part of it, watching my team dominate teams, score loads of goals, have great defence records, and also having players that I can really invest and buy into. I think there's a lot of pressure on Mikel Arteta to definitely win something this season. I wouldn't be the one screaming Arteta out the loudest, but I'll definitely be having that conversation. I think I'll be the one having to, especially my space at AFTV, having to orchestrate conversations of, well, can this manager really get over the line? Because he hasn't been able to prove it since the FA Cup win, obviously back in 2020. So conversations will be had, I'm sure. But yeah, like I said, I won't be the loudest screaming it, but there'll be people talking about whether he's the right man going forward.
No, definitely. And I think what you were saying about Arsenal needing to challenge even more than they have for the last 2 seasons of the league, especially when you look at Manchester City, because apart from the signing of Savinho, I think they really haven't signed anyone really. And when you look at Arsenal, you can see they're looking to strengthen. They have been strengthened, and that brings me into the next session. Looking at their transfer windows and the incomings, what are your thoughts have been on it so far? Starting with Calafiori, happy with the signing?
Yeah, do you know what? Like, it's your club that's done a lot of business, if I'm honest. That and they got it done early, and I actually respect Ten Hag for that. Granted, you've got some injuries now, but like, I look at all the other clubs. I look at Liverpool not signing anyone so far. I look at City, like you mentioned, Slovenia. I mean, it's not they made massive business in this window. Even us, I thought we'd attack it. I thought we'd attack the window, especially over the past 2 seasons in the summer where we've got players in early for pre-season. They've been and had time to integrate in with the squad. But this season, this summer, it doesn't feel like we've really done that. I know we brought Calafiori and you yet to see him play in an Arsenal shirt. Obviously, I was privileged and lucky enough to watch him train, actually speak with him as well over in the States. But we're all waiting for that first appearance for him. I expected it after asking Mikel in the press conference for him to play in the Emirates Cup when we played Bayer Leverkusen, but he didn't. So I expect him to get minutes on Sunday. I don't see where else you kind of fit him in because we have such a hectic run in the first 5 games. Granted, Wolves at home is not as crazy as the rest. The City's away, the Spurs away, the Champions League games. So and Aston Villa away. But I just think the window so far, Calafiori is a good signing. He's a good player. We've strengthened the defence again. Not that I think that's the key area we needed to, but Arteta has a plan. I think if you speak to many fans, they'll be on the same mindset as me that we really trust Mikel and he sees the finer details and the smaller things that we need to improve this squad. So I trust him in the Calafiori signing. He's going to be versatile. I don't know if he's going to play left back or left centre back, but it's a good signing no matter the fact. It's a good signing. It's only going to strengthen Arsenal. The likes of Mikel Moreno is the next one I believe that's going to be confirmed for Arsenal, who also I think is a good player. Listen, I don't want to echo what everyone's been saying. We need a striker, but I feel like everyone needs a striker at their clubs. I feel like everyone talks about needing a striker, and I don't want to be the one to scream. I know you guys have got one actually, funny enough, but I don't want to be the one screaming the loudest about getting a striker because I don't believe we'll get a striker in this window. I think we might get an attacker, whether that's covered for Bukayo Saka or someone who can play either right wing and left wing. But yeah, we still need to do more in this window. Obviously, it closes the window August 30th, so there's still time. I think the most important thing that Arsenal are trying to do right now is sell players. We obviously got rid of Emile Smith-Rowe to Fulham. That was a big loss for us as Arsenal fans. A lot of fans like him. I liked him a lot. It's looking like Eddie might be going as well quite soon. But for me, the window when it comes to incoming so far, I'm not going to say it's been underwhelming because I feel like I still expect us to make more signings. I just think there needs to be more. So I'm at okay right now. I'm just at okay. It's an okay window so far. And obviously Timber coming back as well from injury, I think feels like a new signing. So it's not too bad. And seeing the youngsters in the preseason was lovely to see. Hopefully they get integrated as well, coming to when the Premier League season starts.
No, absolutely. And I mean, to be honest, looking around at the top 6, anyways. I mean, apart from Chelsea, who have spent a lot of money this window, now having a bunch of goalkeepers, and they recently spent another 20 million on yet another goalkeeper, which again, has questions to be asked of Chelsea supporters. But apart from that, really, there's not really a whole lot of movement going on with the top 6, really.
No, you're spotting a lot of loan deals.
Really.
Yeah, it's a lot of loan deals. It's a lot of it's like the January window. January window was the quietest I've ever seen a transfer window. And obviously that's because I think FFP and the PRS as well. Like, I think there's a lot of that. Are the reason why is not a lot of business is happening. I think people got to look to sell before they buy as well. I think that's what we're suffering with as well. But, it is what it is. It is what it is. I think it's frustrating for me because I feel like Arsenal should take advantage of this. I feel like they have the funds. I feel like there is money to be played with. And with the fact that we only just missed out last season, I think it was right for Arsenal to capitalise. But I feel like we are moving a bit slow. But like I said, there's still time for us to make some signings. The window's not closing until the end of this month.
No, definitely. And in regards to the incomings as well, part of it, as you mentioned, FFP is a problem, which then begs the question, perhaps, looking at the free agent market, someone, I don't know, like Adrian Rabiot, for example, could that be a good option or a player to look at, someone of that ilk or profile, where we all know his history and his past of his obscene wage demands, as we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
When negotiating with other clubs. Could that be a move or a player that Arsenal would
I don't know. It's interesting, yeah. I think Rabiot is more of a youth signing. I don't know what he's even
no, it is
disrespectful.
It's
but
such
like,
a Ten Hag sign.
Yeah,
He wanted
it's
him
just
like 2 years ago as well.
Exactly. Well, what was the was it his agent or his missus or his mum? I swear it was his mum, wasn't it?
His mum isn't, or at the time was his agent. And
Agent, yeah.
Yeah, it was just the wages, and
It was messy. Yeah, it was very messy. I think for us, and I don't even want to be disrespectful to United fans, but that does feel like a United sign. Because I look at Casemiro coming towards the end of his career and then making that sign. I feel like Man United do them big name signings that are late towards the end of their career, but they are well known, have quality. But for Arsenal, I don't feel like that Rabiot doesn't really link with our project and our ethos. I think Arteta likes to have young players, up and coming players that like to buy into what is being told. Not small personalities, not big personalities. So Rabiot, for me, especially a player coming to the end of his career, is not the signing for Arsenal. That would completely baffle me. That would really baffle me. It was like when, I'll be honest, it confused me seeing Jorginho sign, but that worked out in the end. And now looking at Jorginho, looking at the profile of player he is, like he is a teacher's pet. He is an intelligent.
And the price as well was like
12 and the price is very cheap. Yeah, exactly. So like, and it became available, and it felt like, now that I know what Jorginho is, I think he is an Arsenal player. But Rabiot doesn't seem at all like an Arsenal player, in my opinion.
And in regards to transfers going out the door the other way, I know we briefly, touched upon Emile Smith-Rowe going out the door. Is there anyone else that you feel like that could be on their way out? I think we mentioned Eddie Nketiah to Marseille.
Yeah, Eddie Nketiah, I did a video about him today. They've just, David Ornstein spoke about, he's got an obligation to buy with a season-long loan, so 30 million euros obligation to buy. I think they're doing the finer details of the contract. They're trying to work out what works best for both clubs. I mean, I think a lot of us would have liked to have seen Eddie sold, and not on a loan spell. And that's no offense to him, because I think he has contributed to Arsenal in the past couple of seasons, but he's wearing a number 14 top. He's someone who we really looked to at one stage, got 100k a week, and he hasn't really fulfilled what we thought he would be at Arsenal. So it's time to move on. And obviously a lot of fans are screaming for a striker at Arsenal Football Club. So I think he'll be the next to go after Emile. There's obviously word that Reece Nelson, what do we do with him? I actually want Reece Nelson to stay. I'm a bit biased.
He's a good player. I think he's a very good footballer, but he's overlooked a bit.
Yeah, massively a talented player. I think people forget that when he was coming through, he was dubbed to be the next big thing for Arsenal, over Saka, over everyone. He was the Haaland boy that everyone was kind of looking at, and that level of ability and skill hasn't left him. It's just he hasn't really had, I don't know if it's confidence or a run of games that has allowed him to really showcase what he's made of. And I'm being a bit biased because I'm quite close with Reece as well and his team. So I wouldn't want to see him go, but I understand if he does. Sometimes you've got to let players go as well, because it's only right for their careers. You can't be sentimental and hold on to them when they want to be playing for their nations and whatnot, and they need to have a career themselves. So, but I think it'll be Eddie first, maybe Reece. I mean, there's players like Sambi Lukonga who's on loan at the moment with an option to buy at the end of it for £10 million. We've also got players like Kieran Tierney, who's got injured during the Euros, I believe, and then now he's currently stuck at Arsenal injured.
Where's he going to end up, Kieran Tierney?
I have no clue.
He even existed.
Yeah, I have no clue. Obviously, like I said, he's injured, and I always get confused. I always think he's sold, but he's not. He's been on loan, so he's still an Arsenal player. So yeah, it's a weird one. It's a weird one. I think they're the main players that I need to think of. I always forget players all the time. Like it feels like Arsenal or Arteta, is trying to force in Fabio Vieira. he's still at Arsenal. I feel like he's going to be used this season, but I think it'd be right to sell him. But
an upgrade. I think
yeah,
also need certified
100%.
quality now. They've brought in the likes of the Martinellis and the Lokongas, and they've gone through that phase. And I agree with what you're saying and what I've been saying, especially for the last many months in AFTV,
Yeah,
in the sense that they need to move a little bit away from that and bring in certified known quality. It doesn't have to be large personalities, but players that can come in and that like just throwing Victor Osimhen to someone of that caliber, or you can look at that player and you can say, yeah, this player is going to go right into the starting 11 and he's going to score the goals. And speaking of scoring the goals, if getting rid of Eddie Nketiah, of course, of the likes of Gabriel Jesus, who struggle with the goals, and others who aren't really living up to the bill, it brings me to the next topic: divisive players. And of course, especially with Arsenal over the years, if there's one thing Arsenal supporters and Arsenal fans themselves, and Cecil, you can probably say for more so,
yeah,
are just players that divide the fan base. They're plenty.
yeah,
What are your thoughts
100%.
on just those players in particular, like the Kai Havertzes, and you have the Zinchenkos of this world, the Jesuses now at this point? Thoughts on them?
Yeah, I think, do you know what? Divisive players is a great topic, especially when it comes to Arsenal. I mean, it's funny we talk about it here now because Granit Xhaka obviously returned to the Emirates for Bayer Leverkusen. We just played them in preseason. We absolutely battered them. But he was a divisive player for many. For me at a time, obviously, that Crystal Palace game where he took off the shirt and threw the armband on the floor and told the fans to F off. And he made a really good comeback in his Arsenal story from that to becoming, some would say, a fan favourite, but
incredible story.
Incredible story, a respected fan in the end. And he got a really good response and reception being back at the Emirates. But he actually did mention not too long ago in the interview that he'd made 2 steps forward going to Bayer Leverkusen. But I don't think that's too disrespectful. I was surprised to hear him say that, but I don't find that too disrespectful. But he was a divisive player. Obviously, now he's moved on. I think the ones that are more divisive now are the Kai Havertzes of the world. But I say divisive. I think at first they was. I think many people didn't understand the signing. I think people saw Kai Havertz.
I think everyone, not just Arsenal fans. I was just as confused and
I was shocked.
All my hands up, yeah.
And I'll be honest. If I still feel weird seeing him because I was so against the signing when he first signed for Arsenal.
No one would have had that under last summer. No one would have thought Kai Havertz, that's the person who I want.
Yeah, exactly.
My priority signing.
Exactly. And what Arteta done with him, fair play. I mean, it took a bit of time. I think people forget, he played in midfield. He got moved around quite a bit. He didn't start too great. He had to be given a charity penalty against Bournemouth to kind of get his confidence started and all that. So I think people forget some of the times where he wasn't great, but he is, to be fair, proving a lot of people wrong, including myself at the moment. And I actually see him having quite a good season this season, but he was a divisive player. I actually think he still is, funny enough. I think if he doesn't have a good season, the fans will be quick to jump down his throat. So he's someone to definitely look out for, and what fans will see as divisive. But he has done very well in the Arsenal shirt in the back end of last season. Well, midway to back end of last season, and I think he's going to start quite strong. I think Zinchenko is a divisive player right now. It's sad because I think he gets more criticism than he deserves. I actually think Zinchenko is not too bad. I think people question his defensive capabilities, but I actually think he's a good player. I think he offers a lot in this Arsenal side, especially in build-up, and I think he plays well at left-back. I don't think he needs to play in the midfield. I think what he brings going offensively forward for Arsenal is something that I appreciate as an attacker, and watching the way he links up play. But many fans don't like him and kind of want him sold. Eddie Nketiah, we don't really talk too much about him because he might be leaving anyway, but he was being divisive for many fans because the 14 top, 100 grand a week. We need a striker. And again, I think all the strikers are divisive. Havertz, Eddie, and even Jesus at times. I love Jesus.
Definitely Jesus.
Yeah, I love Jesus, but he needs to score more goals. Sometimes he holds on to it too long. He is a street player. I give him a lot of leeway because I like the way he plays football. I shouldn't, but I like the way he plays football. So I just I kind of give him a bit of leeway. But I know for some fans he's quite divisive because people still want a killer striker and say, you know, to be fair, he's never hit 15 goals in the league campaign, whether that's City or Arsenal. So we need that, I think, especially to get the Premier League trophy. I think you need a player that, or a striker to score more than 15 goals, or hit the 20 mark, if I'm honest. So that's divisive. I think those are kind of the main names. I think maybe if you go to like David Raya, I think it's not as divisive anymore. But I think when he first came in, again, it was another player where people questioned, they didn't understand it. They had such a big affiliation and love for Aaron Ramsdale that seeing David Raya come in, it took a lot of time for us to build trust. And if I'm honest, he's built the trust through the defense, through the luck of, not the luck, but through the quality of Saliba and Gabriel. They've allowed him to get the
100%.
Yeah. So to be fair, he's been on quite a good ride. And don't get me wrong, he's a good goalkeeper, but I think he's benefited off the fact how good our defense.
That back four in front of him has been brilliant. It's like David De Gea a couple seasons ago. It's last season for Man United. He won the Golden Glove. However, having Varane and Lissandro ahead of him when Luke Shaw's actually fully fit for a full season, which is a miracle in and of itself, and Diogo Dalot at right back, that's a decent back four more times than none. So I fully agree with that. The last divisive player that I've been seeing a lot more as of lately, as of this season, Gabriel Martinelli. And I can kind of understand it because just when I look at Martinelli, what he offers versus a Trossard, for example, in my honest opinion, in my own opinion, I think Trossard's a better footballer than him. Although at the same time, I think Gabriel Martinelli just provides more of a threat. But it's definitely split down the middle. What are your thoughts on that?
You make a good point. I can't do. Not that I can't do. No, I can. I can talk how I feel about players. But Gabriel Martinelli, if you look to the left of me, that's his photo and his signed shirt on the wall. I like Gabriel Martinelli a lot. I think a lot of people at AFTV like Gabriel Martinelli.
Most Arsenal supporters do.
Yeah, but I can't lie and lie to the fact that he had a bad season last season, and people did question Gabriel Martinelli. I think he's under a lot of pressure this season. As much as many fans probably don't admit it because they like him, he is under a lot of pressure this season. But because of the Trossard, because of Martinelli, there's two players there that can really fulfill that spot. Yes, I wouldn't. But the majority of the fans I speak with really like Gabriel Martinelli and don't really see him as divisive. But I must say he has to have a good season this season because the season before he hit 15 goals in the league, he had his best season, and then this current
he had a great season 2 seasons ago.
2 seasons ago, yeah. But this
it's only slightly divisive. It's just one that more questions have been raised and been asked of. And moving sort of away from the divisive players, I think most importantly, and I think for any team in the more regardless of who's supporting, of course you're going to look at the big players. And in your opinion, who would you say is going to be the most important of the so-called big players looking to this upcoming season in any department, whether it's just scoring goals, it could be winning the midfield battles, consistently solid in defense?
For me, the big players this season, I mean, every player is a big player now for Arsenal. It's actually a very nice time to be an Arsenal fan. They actually have players of worth, players that we've actually fallen in love with as fans, like someone you can actually buy into. There's a lot. I remember the dark times where you couldn't really. It's hard to find one player.
We all remember the dark times.
Yeah, that you really liked. It's really difficult. But now there's a lot, and there's a lot of big players that need to have big seasons. I think I'm going to start with Martin Odegaard, the captain. I think being the captain for Arsenal Football Club, you become a big player anyway. You have to represent everything good about the club, and he. For me, I watched him week in, week out last season. I watched him this preseason. I watched him the other day against Bayer Leverkusen, and he's such a spectacle to watch. I think he oozes class, and
he's a great
big
no
player.
question.
He's a phenomenal player. His ball retention is a joke. His IQ is a joke, and I feel so privileged to have him in our side. He's such an intelligent player. He's someone I really enjoy watching. Granted, I know if we look at United players, I think a lot of comparisons always go to Bruno Fernandes, and Bruno Fernandes for me is a quality player. His output is very good. His chance creation is amazing, but on the eye, maybe because I'm a rival fan, I don't like watching Bruno Fernandes, and that's probably because
of course,
to be fair, but watching him isn't as silky and like watching art like the way I watch Martin Odegaard. I think you can argue that Bruno Fernandes is out, like, again, his output, his numbers might be better, but watching Odegaard on the eye, he is phenomenal. He needs to have
100%.
Yeah, he's had good goal scoring seasons before. I think he needs to replicate that. I think he does need to pull the trigger more, but even away from just where it comes to goal scoring, what he does in the midfield and linking play and his pressing, he's a big player I love. Another player, I'm going to go to Declan Rice. Obviously joined last season, but he kind of just fitted in like a glove. He literally just turned up. Champions League games, Bov, don't care. I'll still be the main guy. I'll still give you 8 out of 8. Sorry, 8 or above performances is what I'm trying to say. So he's going to need to be a big player come this season. I
think the thing with Rice, but I think the thing with Declan Rice, which I've noticed, especially seeing it, in the early parts of the season, even though he's still playing fairly well, and as well with the years, especially, I think if you play him as the number 6, the lone 6, he struggles, and it was very evident, especially in the early parts of last season when Arteta would consistently go with the Rice, Havertz, and Odegaard midfield, and there were times Arsenal were losing those midfield battles. But then bring in a Partey, bring in Jorginho, you see the best out of Declan Rice. Like at West Ham, he was paired with Souček, and I think it's about who and where you put alongside Declan Rice. And as for Odegaard, I'm going to say this, I've said it a million times in the past. Martin Odegaard is a better player and a better footballer than Bruno. People can talk about the GNA, all the GNA in the world, but as I literally preach, like, religiously, for me, football is more than just GNA. I look for more than that. You can have the most GNA in the world, but for me, that doesn't constitute good football. For me, Martin Odegaard has it all. His awareness, his awareness, his vision, his way of pass is unbelievable. So, I'd have to give Martin Odegaard his props for that.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's very kind of you, because I think it's clear that, you watch football. It's good. It's good. I like people that, understand that it's not just about stats and GNA, because that's not how it is. Like, yeah. So thank you very much, because I was basically what I was saying there is what you echoed, and I agree. But yeah, Declan Rice, it's funny. I think his partner is definitely key. We saw it in when he played for England, when Trent was in there with him. It didn't fit right. When he had Havertz working in that midfield with him, it didn't fit right. But Declan Rice can play the 6. He just needs the right midfield, I think. And
he needs a partner to play alongside.
Yeah, someone who plays. Yeah, whoever plays a pivot with him, or just someone who works hard in the 8 role that can help him when coming back. But Declan Rice needs a big season. Saliba and Gabriel, I mean, I don't need to say too much about them. I think they're a partnership. If they stay,
I think they're the best centre back partnership in the league, in my genuine opinion. People can say, Ruben Diaz and Ake and John Stones and granted, they're great. They are, and they have been for many years. But looking towards the future, Gabriel and Saliba are.
I massively agree. I think there's not much needs to be said about those two. If they fit for the whole season, they're big players that will contribute to hopefully Arsenal win the league. But the big players that really need to step up. Saka always steps up, so I don't need to worry about him. He's a big player. He is a big player, and he steps up. Big player, big games. But it is really the attack. It's the Havertzes of this world. It's the Jesus of this world, and even Martinelli. To be fair, if we're looking at players that need to step up, those are the 3 that I'm really looking at this season. Trossard, I don't really need to include him because he does step up in moments, and I don't see him
football,
as very good football. But the big players are the ones, like I've mentioned, Odegaard's, Declan Rice, Saliba, and Gabriel's. The ones that need to step up really are Havertz, Jesus, Martinelli, and actually I'm going to throw in Thomas Partey as well. Don't know if he's going to be here this summer. I mean, after this summer, but if he is here, it's fitness for him, and he needs to step up.
Yeah, stepping up in availability and fitness-wise is probably the best thing he can do as of right now. Quality player
When he's fit, and that's rare.
Exactly, when he's fit.
Yeah,
when he's in, and availability is the best ability. And if some of
Exactly.
these players aren't performing, then perhaps maybe potentially would we see any tactical or on the pitch changes potentially? Maybe in-game management, the 11 or tactics if some of these players aren't performing.
We
Will
we
changes
saw
be made.
we saw Arteta on the final game of the season. I think it was against Everton. He inverted both fullbacks. So I forgot who was playing. I think it was Tim. No, I don't think Tim. I forgot who. I got to remind myself who the two fullbacks were. I think it might actually
I
be
feel
Ben
like
White.
Ben White's been
I
playing
think it was
just
Ben
right
White. Yeah,
all
I
season.
think it was either Ben White and Tomiyasu or Ben White and Zinchenko, but he inverted both fullbacks, which I like to see, and I hope to see that this season. I think that just will suffocate. We're all about suffocation of teams and having complete dominance. I think if you invert both fullbacks, you leave Saliba and Gabriel there with a Declan Rice to sit in the middle of them because he has played centre back, and then you throw the rest forward. You're suffocating a team in every aspect, and you've got people that are good on the ball to go and join the attack. So I think that's how you kill a team. I hope to see that. It's not something we did last season. I think we only really inverted one, or we kind of just let the midfielders deal with the attacking. So it'd be nice to see that. I think that's something tactical that Arteta wants to go with. I think Arteta's always, alluded to playing a lone six with 2 10s, or I suppose it's an 8 now and 2 8s. But okay, it'll probably be 2 8s. But I think I would like to see a lone six. I know you spoke about Declan Rice struggling in that, but I think if we get the right balance, I think having a lone six. I know Declan Rice all of last season was working the 8 role, learning the 8 role with Arsenal, but it'd be nice to see him as a lone six. And again, if you have 2 inverted fullbacks, then having a lone six is fine, especially when you have 2 8s in front, and then you got the attacking front three. I think that's a way to really kill a team. So tactical wise, that is something I'd like to see from Arteta. I know he's kind of alluded to it. It is high risk. It's very high risk because you can leave yourself exposed on the counter, which United love to expose us on. But granted, they didn't do too well last season. But that is something I would like to see. I think that's the only tactical thing I'm kind of seeing happen. I'm trying to think about the players that are coming in. Mikel Moreno coming in. He's known as the king of flick.
He's more of an 8 though. But
yeah, he is more of an 8.
Six.
He is more of an 8. He can play the 6. He plays the 6 for Spain, but for his club, he plays for the 8 in the 8 role. And I think for us, he'd play in the 8 role as well. And he's won, like I said, he wins all his aerial duels. He's known as king of flick on. So if you have that, you win the first duel. I think we're very good at picking up the seconds as well. We normally always win our second battles. That's why we're so dominant. So if we win, it's always normally the first one where we used to struggle, especially against City. But if we have a player like Mikel Moreno in there, I think that is a tactical change that we'll be looking to see. Get the flick on, then win the seconds. And then from that, you dominate the possession and go on and hopefully go and get a goal.
No, definitely. I can definitely see why Arteta wants Mikel Moreno. And, the player doesn't have to be a name that wows everyone. Like, I know everyone's, screaming about Zubamendi, but Mikel Moreno's, the profile and type of player that Arteta sees as the player to fill in their system, kind of like how, Man United has been linked with Sanderberg, and to a certain extent, it's not a name that's going to wow me.
Yeah.
But if it's a player profile that I trust this new scouting department that can potentially just be the right player profile to fill in and play a specific role, then perhaps one could be open to it. And predicted league finish. Where do you honestly predict Arsenal will finish the Premier League this season?
Said at the top of the show, I think we finish top. I think this is the year. Very bold, but again, like I mentioned, 5 times City being Premier League champions would be crazy to me. It's definitely possible with Pep in charge. Anything is possible, but I just think I said this last season, to get a team reinvigorated and re-infused for a season off the back of the treble, that shocked me. But to do that and then go again to do 5-peat, I just think that is just ridiculous, especially when we ran it so close last season. I think this will be our year. So Premier League finish, I think we finished top. I think it's a must. It really is a must. I think, granted, Liverpool have an amazing preseason. They've beaten both of us. I just think with Arne Slot coming in, I think you need a bit of a grace period for him to adjust.
Yeah, of course.
when it comes to Premier League. So I don't see them pipping the Premier League. Man City, they haven't done great business so far. I think the preseason has been a bit weak as well. It's known for them to start quite slowly as well.
Yep.
And we have them at their place. We have them at their place in the first 5 games. So I think if we get a result there, I think that really will impact the end of the season. So that pips us again to the number 1 spot. Chelsea, they're a mess. Don't need to say too much more on them.
No, I don't think anyone needs to say anything about Chelsea.
Yeah,
I don't think, with all due respect, I don't think, Mykhailo Mudryk is going to be sending any shivers down our spines this upcoming season.
Exactly.
Really.
And granted, they got a new manager as well, so they also have a grace period as well. Where
no, definitely, and they definitely do.
I don't see them winning the league in the first season. You guys, I'll be honest, I was most fearful about you guys, especially
really.
You made early signings. Erik ten Hag, he is going to want to listen. He's in his process. He wins a trophy every season, as he says. So he was someone I fear. I think you'll be in and around the mix. I just think you're not there yet to really be challenging just yet. You'll be around there. You'll be around there. So United,
team where Arsenal is nowhere near.
Yeah, so I think United will be around there, and then the rest of they're the kind of the big teams. Tottenham, granted, listen, it's Tottenham. They're not going to be winning the Premier League, so I don't need to talk too much about them. And then the rest of the clubs, like the Newcastles, the Aston Villas, again, I think they'll do well. I think they'll be around it, but I think when it comes to Premier League winners, you're really looking at the Man Cities and the Arsenals. So
it's going to be maybe somehow if Liverpool can replicate what they did last season, just go even until the last couple of weeks, maybe. But like, even then, a whole new style of play. And speaking of Erik ten Hag, something interesting that I want to get your perspective, just specifically on Manchester United, seeing them so far in preseason and looking at what we've done. Just what are your general perspectives and opinions on just based on what we've done in the summer, what we're doing so far, the changes under Ineos, and what you've seen of us so far this preseason?
United. So far, like you said, like Ineos, he's come with intent. Like I said, making signings, putting the money down. I know the plans for your new stadium. I think it's £2 billion and all that, and what they're trying to implement. They're not moving slow. They're not just coming in and being owners that are just going to wait around and just take the money and as you know, we know United's the biggest club, so they're not just waiting around. They're getting things done, and that's what, again, like I said, that's what kind of worried me before we played you guys, was the intent shown, the new signings you made. Granted, I don't feel for you lot because you're United, but the injuries from
likewise
Euro,
as well.
Yeah, exactly. The injuries to Euro and Højlund, I think, is something to be worried about. I'll be honest, but they will be back. But it's something that for your preseason, I think it's something for United fans to worry about, especially when they're the players you're kind of looking at. But you got players coming back. If you get Luke Shaw back to fitness and he plays, I think he's a good player. If you got Martinez as well return, I think that's going to be really good for you guys. And
definitely
United, I think you're right. Obviously, I know
definitely 100%.
Yeah, Højlund he got did he get a new number as well? Did he get the number 9?
He was given the number 9, and I honestly don't know what he's done to earn that number, because thinking of the likes of not even just the Bobby Charltons, thinking of the likes of the Mark Hughes, the Andy Coles, and yes, for all those who are wondering how on earth do I even know these names? Yes, I know my football club and my football club's history, for all those who somehow question that for whatever reason. But looking at some of the players who have worn that number, even Dimitar Berbatov, for that number 9, brilliant footballer. And then Rasmus Højlund struggled in the Euros and struggled last season.
Still young. To wear that number 9 shirt, obviously you got Xerxes in there as well. You just take one of our young.
I thought he was going to get that number 9, Xerxes.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was quite surprised to see that to give him to Højlund as well. Your attackers, your strikers, sorry, the strength of it, it's not massive. I mean, you got Xerxes there. I mean, he might be quite good, to be fair, but Højlund hasn't. I don't think he's earned enough to have that number 9 shirt. You've taken our striker for the future, Chido Obi Martin. He's been told he's 3rd choice at United as a striker. Very young though. I think he's 16 still, but that's why he left Arsenal and went to you guys. Obviously, you're paying him double a week, and He is third choice striker. He has a clear path. But yeah, that surprised me. The number 9 top. Who got Vidic's number? Was it Euro or was it?
Yeah,
it was
he
Euro,
was Lenny Euro, and in those in the game against Rangers and the opening 15 minutes against you, I saw very good things, and wow, this is centre back that we're going to have for the next 5 odd years, and of course people are going to say you overpaid, but if you think about it, I think the total fee was around £50 million plus that was total package. It was 50 plus 5 or 10 in add-ons. So it was 62 million total package with certain, incentives and bonuses if he wins certain things. Which really, if you think about, it's around 40 to 50 million pounds, really.
Yeah, no, it's a good deal. It's a good deal, and the quality of the player is superb. So I know everyone will say everyone's overpriced, especially if the big clubs are playing for them, especially when United, Chelsea are playing from there. Everyone's always overpriced. It's an inflated market as it is because of clubs like Chelsea and you guys, to be fair. But I don't think I think that's a good bit of business. Euro he does look the real deal. I think. I'll be honest, you've got a good side, and pre-season wise, it's nice to see Eric giving Ahmad Diallo minutes as well. It's looking like he's actually hopefully we see more of him, and I'm saying hopefully we see more of him because I actually was so confused why he wasn't playing. I think he's a quality player. I was so confused why Eric wasn't playing him. And I think he's a young. I think
most of us were.
Yeah, I think he should get minutes, and hopefully he does this season. But yeah, and I don't know what's going on with Sancho, whether he'll stay with you guys, but he's a good player. I mean, he has quality. I know they've well, I don't know if they've made up, but he did the apology. They've spoken. He's obviously integrated him back.
Huge fan of him, and anyone who knows me, in London, worldwide, everyone knows I'm a Jadon Sancho guy. Everyone knows, and everyone knows this by now. For those who've been living under a rock, I'm one of Jadon Sancho's biggest advocates, and that's people can say what they want about the whole situation, but the way it was dealt with and how he was treated is a big reason why I stand where I stand with the manager, or where I stood with the manager. However, with Ineos coming in and the complete overhaul of the coaching staff and everything around him and above him, I'm not looking too much at the manager, really. I don't think he's got a massive vote of confidence. Ten Hag, really.
Yeah.
I don't think he does.
No. Yeah, no, it's interesting. It's interesting. I think there's 2 other players that I'm going to probably talk about. Sancho, I think if he stays, if it really truly is settled between those two, you have a good player there. Like you said, you're a big fan of him. You'll know the quality of Jadon Sancho. I mean, I've known of the quality of Jadon Sancho for many years, but even the one to really highlight me was last season we played you guys in preseason in the MetLife at New York, and he absolutely tore us to pieces. When he's sharp and confident, he's a good player. So him, obviously, I have to talk about Rashford because I'm biased. I work with him. He's a friend of mine. I know his family. But yeah,
we all know he has the quality in him to do what he done 2 seasons ago. And if there's one thing Ten Hag loves doing, bringing up things from the past, and I think after the Palace game where we lost 4-0, I think he still somehow brought up the Rasmus Højlund foul against Arsenal where Gabriel fouled him. He still somehow brought that up, which
that was ridiculous, by the way. Yeah,
typical waffling. But everyone knows Marcus Rashford has it in him. We know the player that.
And from what I hear, he's gonna have. I do hear this quite a lot of the time every season. But he's been away and he's focusing again, and he's gonna have a big season. So it may be
sharp this preseason as well.
Yeah, he does. And away from United, because the rivalry between us and United obviously is huge, but person to person, I care for Rashford. So I do hope he has a good season. Just hope he doesn't score against us, which he always bloody does. But yeah. And then the last one is obviously Kobe Mainoo. I didn't obviously see him in pre-season because he was rested because of him being in a major tournament, but you got a quality player on there. That's why there's a lot of doubt from me that, a little bit of worry for me that you may cause some problems this season because you got a good squad. It just depends if Eric Ten Hag can get it ticking. And you build an identity. I think you still lack a bit of an identity. I think you do well in cups because the way you do it is geared to cup competitions, but throughout a Premier League season, you can't get away with counter-attacking.
No, of course.
Kind of scumbagging your way through games. But
No,
Yeah.
literally, we would scumbag our way through results, and we would literally cheat life. I can't even recall just a certain number of times. I can name tens, maybe 15s of games where we literally caught life, or we literally got away with it. Where games where it should have been 5-0, we got away with 3-0. Games where we should have lost, we drawn. Just so many games. And finishing 8th, guess what? In my opinion, we deserve to finish lower. We didn't deserve anything from last season whatsoever. Absolutely nothing. And the fact how we got the FA Cup and somehow even got away with the Europa League. I mean, it shows preseason really means nothing. As much as I definitely want it to be, my horse, cooking after, the 2-0 win. Guess what? Preseason really literally means absolutely nothing, because we all know what happened last season. And with Kobe Mino, I just want this absolute gem to be protected at all costs. He needs to be protected. He needs to be shielded and continue to be nurtured, because because for England, because my family's from England, so I'm English for the Euros as well, and it's also for Man United as well. This absolutely phenomenal footballer needs to be protected at all costs. He is an absolute gem. And with Man United, just in your opinion, what do you think the expectation should be going into the new season?
It's an interesting question. Man United, a trophy, and obviously you got to finish higher than what you finished last season. 8th is unacceptable for a club the size of Man United, but Erik ten Hag has kind of set the precedent that he comes and he wins trophies, so you have to get a trophy. And then, I mean,
Minimum.
Yeah, I mean, Man United fans' expectations, I'm assuming, will be top 4. But I mean,
whether that happens or not.
Yeah, I mean, not being a United fan, it's hard to say where to put your expectations. But I say a trophy because that's what Erik ten Hag does. And then I'm going off. My expectation was when we finished 8th, and then 8th was to be top 4, but we ended up getting 5th. But I think that's how kind of it works. I think it's a slow progression to build back into like, the top 4 contention. I actually think, like I mentioned before, I don't see an identity with United, so it's not going to be easy to across a 38 game campaign to get you guys back up there after finishing 8th. I think it will take a bit of time. But yeah, so a trophy definitely, and then a better position, finish position than you had last season.
No, 100%. And I feel like because of the 8th place finish and the FA Cup, a lot of our fan base is saying that, oh, look at Arteta, he finished 8th 2 years in a row, and look where he is now. But at the same time, you could see Arteta was trying to build an identity, a style of play, and you could see progression. With Ten Hag, I see regression, and it begs the question and argument: how can you spend 450 million on players and then needing to go and strengthen in those same positions, 1, 2, 3 seasons later?
Yeah, no, you're right.
Like the Havertz thing. At least the one thing that I said at the very beginning, if the Havertz thing somehow flopped, at least Mikel Arteta was literally willing to
he put it all on the line. Yeah, we said
literally.
that on AFTV. Yeah, we said like he could die by the sword, honestly, because no one understood the signing. No one, both signings, Havertz and David Raya, bringing in a new goalkeeper. If that went wrong, if we didn't have the best defensive record in the league, if Raya didn't get the Golden Glove, if Havertz didn't end up scoring, I think it was 13 goals in the league by the end of the season, there would have been serious question marks. But that's how he's built the trust. That's he sees things, and he's proved a lot of people wrong. So it does take time. But from when he first signed and got the FA Cup, there was glimpses of what he could do. But there's a lot of pressure when you're at these big clubs. And luckily, I actually give it to the owners, the Cronkies, for backing him and just saying, look, we're sticking with him. We believe in the project, and we're kind of seeing the fruits of it now. Obviously, you just need to see silverware.
No, definitely 100%. And for me, that's the big difference with Arteta. I can see something. I could see, everyone wants to stay on the up. Arsenal are clearly and have been going on the up. They've been getting better and better and better, but now they, of course, need that bit of silver. They need to get over the line. with us and Ten Hag, it's just regression, and similar to Havertz, when we signed Mason Mount, I had absolutely no clue why he was our priority signing, especially when if we could have signed him this summer for free. Which, if we signed him on a free, I would have said to myself, "All right, that's more than fine. He's 25, Premier League proven. You got him on a free, great, wonderful." And we spent 60 million on Mason Mount, and then the times where he was fit, he was benched. He benched Mount. Anthony was benched for a long time, regardless of what anyone thinks of Anthony. Amrabat benched. Reguilon benched. Hoyland at some points benched. A lot of the players that he brought in benched, and it makes me think to myself, why did you sign these players in the first place? What does that say? You don't trust your signings. You don't trust yourself. And when I see that, and compared to Arteta, who's, again, willing to die by the Kai Havertz sword, really raises some questions. But with Ineos, the new direction, I like it. I like the
Yeah, it's interesting. Mason Mount's a good player, though. I think he was benched, but I remember him coming off the bench when he was fit and then scoring. And we thought, this is it. He's going to be back. And then obviously he got injured again.
Against Brentford. And a minute and a half later, we conceded a goal.
Yeah, that game.
Surprise. I wasn't even surprised at that.
That was a funny game, though. I've ripped a lot of United fans for that. But
rightfully.
I think Mason Mount's a good player, though. He will come good. But listen, Arteta didn't get them all right. I would want to say things like players
of course.
Suarez, Lokonga. Those players that he signed, and even Fabio Vieira, even though he's looking like he's going to be the next one that Arteta is going to die by and throw him in a lot of the games. It took a bit of time, and some things he got wrong, but a majority he did get right, especially the big ones. But I think a lot of the players you mentioned just then, I think they will be okay for you guys. But we'll have to see.
I think in the right system, and oh my goodness, please do not play Mason Mount in a midfield pivot with Casemiro, because that midfield is going to get smoked. Midfield is going to get smoked. And Ten Hag was doing it almost all of last season, and he started doing it as well this preseason. So just scares me a little bit. Just seeing a midfield pivot of Mount and Casemiro, that definitely frightens me. And just looking at everything Man United's done so far, and one can say, wait for the transfer window to wait until September the 1st, because, the likes of, the Mazraouis, the De Ligts, and all of our first choice players that we probably can't sign because we literally have no money, because players like Lindelof are on like $100,000 a week. Where do you expect Manchester United to finish in the Premier League, regardless of their targets, in your opinion?
5th. I'll do the same as what Arsenal did after 8 places finishes 5th. I think, 5th. And there's still a lot to work towards. I think it takes a bit of time, like I mentioned before, get an identity. I think you being out of a lot. I think you being out of a lot of the cup competitions. I think all the majors that I think it give you time to maybe rebuild. But I think 5th, where you'll finish.
No, definitely. I could see that if we trend in the right direction. However, if it's the same as last season, I could definitely see it being a lot worse. Looking at a good amount of teams below the top 6 have actually strengthened, like the West Hams and Aston Villas have improved. And for the last section of the show, just thought, why not throw in some early pre-opening day Premier League season predictions? Just because, why not?
Let's do it.
Of course, Arsenal. You said Arsenal. You predict Arsenal's going to win the league.
Yep, Arsenal league winners. Yep. Next, what else we got?
Top 4. Who's finishing top 4 for you?
Arsenal, City, Liverpool. Arsenal, City, Liverpool. Now, is it going to be a Brighton, a Fulham, an Aston Villa, a Palace? I just feel like there's going to be a surprise. There's going to be a surprise in there. I just don't know who it ends up being. It was Villa last.
For the culture, I'd love to see it for one of those. Just for the culture, I'd love to see.
Yeah, do you know what?
Yeah,
I'm gonna go. I'm being biased. I'm gonna go Fulham. It makes no sense it being Fulham at all. But because of
Wait, why Fulham, bro?
Iwobi's there, Leno's there. There's no way it's going to be Fulham. But I think it'll be, I think a surprise one. Actually, no. Do you know maybe no, not Brighton. Oh, actually, you know what? No, Villa. I'm gonna go Villa again.
That's fair.
Because they've made good signings. Yeah, Villa.
Even losing Douglas Luiz, they still brought in Onana, who's not the same profile as Douglas Luiz.
No, but he's a good player. I would have had Onana at Arsenal.
No, decent player. Definitely a good player. And they're looking into strength. If they bring in João Felix, honestly, him and Ollie Watkins, honestly, that will be so fun to watch. Yeah. I want to see that João Felix transfer happen. I think it would just be really fun from a neutral standpoint on the eye to watch. The other European places, and yes, from your point of view, you're probably thinking nobody cares about the Europa League, but we're in the Europa League, so guess what? It all of a sudden matters. But the only one we're in it.
Yeah, I get that. I get this, and it's a European title at the end of the day. Take it serious. You guys have won it before, but yeah. So I think you guys will be 5th European places. Then Chelsea 6th. Obviously, the new format for the Champions League. If you're 5th, you probably end up in the Champions League anyway. Depending on obviously the.
Good point.
Depending on the. I forgot what the word I'm looking for here. Obviously, it depends what league coefficient you kind of get. I think that's the right word I'm looking for. Depending on how many teams you can get from each league. But if you get 5th, you'll be in the Champions League if the UK teams or the Premier League teams have that spot still available. So 5th, you guys 6th. Chelsea. No.
I hope they're going to shape. I hope they're going to shape.
6th will be Spurs. Spurs could actually be 4th, Spurs could actually be 4th.
That's possible.
Yeah, do you know what?
They need more strengthening, though. I'm not going to lie. I don't think Dominic Solanke's going to bring them into it.
No, they're not. Do you know what? No, sorry. Top 4, though. Arsenal, City, Liverpool, Spurs. Sorry. Because you're right. Dominic Solanke's not going to do it, but I just think Villa with the Champions League, I think it might be a bit much to juggle.
Like Newcastle last season.
Yeah, exactly.
Could be overwhelming.
Too much for them. So Spurs, then you guys 5th, then Villa 6th. And then 7th, Chelsea probably. I think Chelsea finished 7th last time, 7th again. And then Brighton, those sort of teams.
Maybe. So, I think West Ham could be in the mix as well because you look at what they've done this summer. They could definitely be in the place.
Definitely a good point. West Ham's definitely a shout.
Definitely. I definitely can see that. Golden Boot. Who wins the Golden Boot?
It's a very good question. That is a very good question. Who wins Golden Boot?
Because without the supply line, Haaland just doesn't get his goals because he doesn't offer that much.
But you know what? Regardless, it's Haaland. I wanted to say an Arsenal player. I really did because I think we're going to win the league. But regardless of even if we win the league, Haaland still wins it. Like he missed a lot of the season, had a purple patch, come back. I think he was injured actually, come back last season, still won it. Like it was baby food for him. So Haaland always,
Mo Salah's always a shout. Well, but
he scored against us. He's looking sharp, shaved his head, still looking sharp. But Haaland is going to be up there.
New hair, same Salah.
Yeah.
Player of the year and young player of the year. Who do you think's winning player of the year?
Player of the year will be Bukayo Saka, 100%. Young player of the year, I'm actually going to give it to Kobe Mainoo.
Honestly, that's what I was thinking. And Cole Palmer won it last season, rightfully so. But part of me thinks that because everyone now has a certain expectation of him now, I feel like he might struggle.
It's gonna be Kobe Mainoo unless it's like, listen, I'm going Kobe Mainoo as the obvious. If it's not, it might be one of the academy players that broke through, whether it's Ethan Nwanyeri, Miles Lewis-Skelly, Quansah at Liverpool, Oscar Bob at City. It might be one of the youngsters that we haven't really seen yet, but they might have a breakthrough season and do it as well. But right now, my mind is telling me Kobe Mainoo. So yeah.
Next, dark horse or just the biggest underdog of the season. Which team do you think will defy expectations? Will go well and beyond the expectations they have of them. Surprise team this season.
I want to say Leicester, but it's not going to be Leicester. I want to say Leicester. I'm not going to do Leicester. What I will do, I'm going to do AFC Bournemouth because I like Iriola. I really like his style of play. I like what he done. I think he surprised a lot of people by getting 10th position. I think he got 10th last season. Started really bad. There's a lot of question marks over him, but I think he's a good manager. So I think Bournemouth.
Yeah, definitely could see that. I could say Crystal Palace again. Honestly, I think if they end up keeping Mark Gahey, and speaking of Mark Gahey, if there's one centre back that I want, it is Mark Gahey. That's the centre back that I want for my football club. Also, don't need any more centre backs. Also, have plenty of centre backs.
Yeah,
There's one centre back I wanted.
Neither do we. No more centre backs, please.
Also, I hope he does it.
Right.
But if they can keep hold of him and Eze, and they can strengthen around the areas that need strengthening, I think they can definitely do something this season. Maybe even potentially a shout for Conference League, but who knows? And last but not least, the most underwhelming side, in your opinion.
The most underwhelming side. I want to say Spurs, but I'm not going to say Spurs. Underwhelming side. Most underwhelming. Who am I going to... Okay. Who have I got big expectations for this? Oh, it's going to be Villa. They're going to be underwhelming. I said they're going to drop out because of chat. I think the pressure of having both competitions, Premier League and Champions League, I think even though big up Unai, he does well in European competitions. I just think I have such high expectations for them because of they come out of the blue and they done so well last season. I think they're going to flatter to deceive and be underwhelming this season.
No, definitely. I think they're right up there. I think Newcastle as well is another one. And there we have it. There has been this exclusive Daveye and Cecil show. Hopefully there could be a part 2, as long as Cecil wants to back for part 2. As long as he wants to.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. We'll see what we can do.
And let us know down in the comments below. Do you agree with Cecil and I have to say? Do you not agree whatsoever and just think we're waffling on? Let us know. Let us know what you think. And we'll see you in the next one.
Take